Well, it looks like we've gone live. So, um, good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Erie Arts and Culture, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first annual Arts and Agency Week, a virtual event designed to explore the ways the arts are being leveraged to raise awareness of systemic issues, amplify underrepresented voices, and generate creative solutions to societal challenges. Funding for Arts and Agency Week was provided in part by the Erie County Foundation through their Shaping Tomorrow grant program. I'm Daryl Smith. I'm Chief Operating Officer at the Erie City Mission and Director of Men's Ministries. We have a homeless shelter, and we probably serve 600 homeless men annually, unduplicated, about 18,000 homeless bed nights a year here at the Erie City Mission. So I was asked to participate. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in, thanking Erie Arts and Culture, and certainly thanking our presenter, artist David Tovey, for his time and his efforts, one, to raise awareness of homelessness and giving a voice to homeless people. And then again, spending time with Erie Arts and Culture and, helping to kick off this annual, and I'm sure it'll be, every year, this event that they are having. So to introduce David, he is a formerly homeless artist, educator, and activist who works in a range of media. He is a photographer, painter, as well as an installation artist and performance maker. At the heart of David's practice is a very special quality, the ability to bring you to the subject in ways both beautiful and hard-hitting in equal measure in order to raise awareness about the social issues he tackles. David has exhibited internationally in locations such as the ATSA Festival in Montreal, the Kustal Staven in Norway, Tate Modern and Tate Liverpool, and he is also the founder of the UK's first One Festival of Homeless Arts. He speaks regularly at housing and homelessness events and teaches art to people experiencing homelessness at Passage House. His man on bench performances have earned him significant acclaim and have taken place on the pavement of London's South Bank, the Mayfield Depot, Manchester, and the halls of Tate Exchange. David is with us today to speak about their work with One Festival Homeless Arts. Brings together works of art in many forms, from theater and film to sculpture and photography, as well as traditional visual art, all of which have been created by artists who are or have been homeless, who aims to change societal's perceptions of homeless people through the medium of art, providing a platform for the artists, bringing back confidence and social inclusion. This presentation is live streamed through Zoom, as well as Erie Arts and Culture Facebook page and YouTube channel. The session will conclude with a Q&A. If you have questions, please type them in the text box or on the Facebook Live. You can text them there. We'll also get them. At the end of the presentation, I will read the questions to our presenter so that he might answer some of those. So we thank everyone for attending. We hope you will enjoy, and I will turn it over to our artist and our presenter, David Tovey. David.
Brilliant. Thank you, Daryl. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. So bear with me for 2 seconds while I just bring this up. And here we go. Hopefully everyone can see that. And yeah, right. Hello, I'm David. I wanted to talk to you today mainly about the One Festival of Homeless Arts and why it's important to me and why and how it was created. And I put quite a big slide presentation together, so bear with me today. There is a film partway through as well. And I may skip through some of the slides as well, depending on time and stuff. So I'm going to try and keep it to a certain amount of time. So Why is it important to me? I suppose in a way I need to give you some context, and I need to give you a bit of context about myself first, because then that way you should be able to understand a little bit more of why it's important to me. Hopefully that's going to click through. Right, okay. I grew up in poverty in a part of Kent where I had 6 sisters and brothers, and my dad worked on a farm, didn't earn a lot of money, and for me, my only way out of poverty was to join the British Army. So I joined at the age of 16, and I was a very young 16 at that. I spent 6 years traveling the world as a chef with the British Army, and it was great. It was really good job. Problem was, at the time, I was actually seen as illegal in the British Army because of being gay. So I was asked to leave the British Army in 1997. And this had quite a big impact on me mentally and stuff like that, because suddenly I'd lost that way out of poverty. You know, I'd had that new life, that family taken away from me, that community. But you know, it didn't stop me from being a chef. So I started traveling and traveled the world all over the place, from Australia to Canada to Africa, using my skill as a chef. But I ended up in London in around about 2007, where I decided to open this pub restaurant at the top called Prince Arthur, and this was a bistro style restaurant pub, and things were going great. You know, life was brilliant. But the problem was, I was still going through severe mental health problems, drinking problems, addiction problems, because of the trauma that I'd gone through back when I was in the army. And this was something which was underlying for many years, and I ignored it and ignored it and ignored it, and it just kept building up. So in the end, I became what I would call a working addict. You know, I had the pub restaurant, and I managed to survive. You know, I had quite a bit of money coming in. And then I opened this second one called The Woodman up in Highgate in central London. And the stress of having the two of those places and the amount of hours I was working led to me having a stroke at the age of 36. And this was 2011. That was when things really started to sort of like fall apart for me, and my health started to deteriorate. I started drinking more. I was using drugs more, and my life was getting completely out of control, and I was losing control of that life. 6 months after I had my stroke, I was put into hospital with a thing called neurosyphilis, and 4 days later, I was diagnosed with colon cancer, and then 10 days after that, I had a cardiac arrest. Obviously, that's going to have quite an effect on your mental health, and it ended up me taking quite a few overdoses trying to end my life. Ultimately, as the year went on, this led to me becoming homeless. When I came out of hospital after a suicide attempt to find that the locks had been changed on my flat, I moved into this. And this became my home for the next 6 months. It was a Peugeot 206. And trust me, it's not the biggest car to be living in when you're 6'4". It's a tiny, you probably don't have the little Peugeots in America, but it's a tiny little French car. They're tiny. And the back seat was too small to live in. So I used to sleep across the front seats. And it was a really tough time for me, because at that time when I was living on the streets, okay, I was in the car, but my health was deteriorating and getting worse and worse and worse. And it was coming to the stage where my health was getting really, really bad. I made this decision. Probably the best way to put it is I couldn't see the following day. Mentally, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see myself waking up. So I took the decision to go into a park to end my life. And as I was there, I was just about to inject myself with quite a big overdose when this guy stopped me. This guy is called Gavin. He was a park enforcement officer. He not only saved my life, he gave me my life back. He gave me this choice of whether to accept the help or not. He gave me some money, got me some food, and he got me into a night shelter for the following day. And it's this point, and it was this moment that things started to turn around for me, because what happened was, and I think it was the fact that he saw me, he listened to me, he wanted to know what was going on, and that I hadn't heard before. You know, he was the first person to ever say that to me, and I was just like, wow, okay. And don't get me wrong, I literally, I sat there, I cried my eyes out, I completely broke down with him, and I told him everything, what was going on, and you know, how, you know, my life had been so bad, and blah, 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 all this sort of stuff. And he sat and listened, and he said, I can help. He got me into a night shelter, which then started to really sort of like turn my life around. But the thing was, all the time I was in my car, I was still doing art. I was drawing, I was writing, I had a camera, I still was going out taking photos. And I want to show you 4 pictures here of some artwork that I made when I was in my car. And I've never displayed these because for me, it's more of a personal piece of artwork. And one of them says, council crap, being poor, big fucking deal, Cameron crap. At the time, I was very angry with our government, and it was David Cameron. Obviously, there's one there saying cancer is killing me. I was still going through treatment while I was in my car. Build a better future for the homeless. And then love me, I can't even read that, love me when I'm dead. Will anyone love me when I'm dead? And that's some stuff that kept going through my mind quite a lot when I was in my car. But having that ability to do something, to write something, to get that anger onto a piece of paper was really important for me, right? I also then would do photography. And my photography was, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not the best photographer in the world, right? But for me, it's about capturing a moment, about a feeling, an emotion, and having that ability to take a photo. I remember when I sold my very first photograph, when I exhibited it the very first time, was in a place called Sotheby's in London, which is an auction house, where I was invited on with some other homeless photographers just to have a little exhibition there. And during the day, I was so scared about going, I turned up like 5 hours late. And then I was there and people were talking about my photography. And then this girl came up to me and said, I want to buy it. And that feeling that I had, I felt so amazing, right? Because she wasn't seeing me as a homeless person. She was seeing me as an artist. And that put my shoulders up, made me feel so good about myself. After that, I was then asked to design this t-shirt on the left here by an organization called Clothing the Homeless. And this is when I decided to then create the Man on Bench range, because when they said that they were going to sell it just online, I was like, come on, that's really boring. Can we do something a little bit more exciting? So we did a street fashion show, and I did it on the South Bank. And from that one show, that show opened up so many avenues for me. The Economist did a podcast, got listened to by over 5 million people. We had TV crews from America, Switzerland, and Germany filming it and documenting it. It was amazing. And we weren't selling anything. We weren't giving anything away. We were literally saying, look, we are here. That's it. It was that simple. From that, I ended up going up into the Tate Modern as part of a weekend which was run by Museum of Homelessness, and the whole thing was about taking thrown away material, making it into couture pieces, and saying we can do the same with homeless people. We can take people at their lowest point, we can retrain, we can help them with recovery, whatever it is, and help them be the person that they want to be. And it's that simple. It really can work. It must do. It worked for me. So then, while that was all going on, I was invited to City Hall in London, where our mayor is based. And an organisation called Arts and Homelessness International had brought over a delegation of artists who've been homeless from Brazil to London. And as part of this event, there was this guy, and I can't remember his name, but I was left so inspired by him because he talked so passionately about a load of musicians, buskers, like homeless buskers and stuff like that, coming together in Sao Paulo and creating this music festival. It was just that simple, just people coming together and creating music. And then that, over the 3-year period, created this small little festival. And I thought, why is this not being like done in London? Why? There was nothing like it, you know. There was homeless organizations doing their little shows and stuff like that, but nothing where everybody could come together, and nothing created by people who were homeless. The artwork was made by them, but not the festivals or the events. So I was like, right, I want to do this. Problem was, and a major problem was, I didn't have any money. I was still ill. I was living on disability benefits in the UK, and I was in and out of hospital all the time. And I thought, how am I going to do this? Like, you know, it's impossible. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to start contacting all the different homeless artists that I know, all the different organizations I know, and just see if anybody would talk to me. So with doing that, only one organization came back to me, or one person came back to me. And that was great, because it was one person, right, saying, yes, how can I help, right? What can we do, right? Problem was, this was in 2015. I was still ill. I was still living in a homeless hostel at the time. And like I said, I had no money and I had no venue. And without a venue, how could I create a festival? So I had to put it on the back burner. But then I was then introduced to the Diorama Art Centre by Clothing the Homeless, and they asked me to be their artist in residence. And I'm going to play a little film now. It's an old film because I'm not artist in residence anymore, but I think it will explain a little bit what I'm trying to say. So I'm hoping this plays. So here goes. Let's try. My name is David Tovey. I'm the current artist in residence here at Diorama Art Centre. Becoming the artist in residence at the Diorama has been an amazing opportunity for me. It's given me a studio and a regular workspace, and it's helped me create loads of new artwork. I was a chef for 23 years, and in 2011 I had a stroke, which changed my life completely. Then 6 months later, I got diagnosed with neurosyphilis and got put into hospital. 4 days later, I got diagnosed with colon cancer. And then on my treatment, 10 days after, I had a cardiac arrest. And a few months later, I took 5 overdoses in 1 week.
I then was diagnosed with HIV positive. This caused me to have a massive mental breakdown. Then I became homeless and ended up sleeping in my car. I had an idea of an arts festival to highlight homeless artwork, but we never had anywhere to host it. That's where Jacob and the diorama stepped in to help us out. The One Festival is to showcase artwork from homeless and ex-homeless artists throughout London and give a voice to the voiceless.
So, why is art so important to those who are homeless? And it's quite simple. It's a human right. Every single person in the world has the right to arts and culture. And just because somebody is on the streets or living in temporary accommodation doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the ability to access the arts. And I've highlighted this passage at the end here where it says, at a time when artists, cultural minorities, cultural heritage and cultural expressions are increasingly under attack, defending the cultural rights of individuals and communities has never been important. Individuals and communities. The homeless community is a community that is fundamentally disadvantaged and stigmatized. And I believe that arts has the ability to change that and change how we can work and be seen. It also, when looking at homelessness and looking at the arts, you have to look at what art does for us as human beings, right? So if we look at ourselves as the person in the center, this is a thing called the Jigsaw of Homeless Support, which is created by Arts and Homelessness International. And they see it as more of a holistic approach when working within the homeless communities. Yes, fundamentally, it's about giving people housing and employment and education, etc. But we've also got to have stuff that stimulates the mind, right? Because if you don't stimulate this, then you've got more chance of falling back out and back onto the streets. It also helps with creating positive identity, public perception, self-expression, well-being, confidence, the list goes on of the advantages of having arts, right? So this is what we do at the festival. Right, we're about bringing different art forms, different genres and mediums together, right? Because it's pointless having a festival if it's just about 2D pictures on a wall. I want whatever is thrown at me, right? So if a community comes up to me and says, right, we've created this amazing theatre piece, right? Can we put it into the festival? I go, right, how long is it? And let me see what I can do. And then I'll contact different theatres, different organisations to see if we can use their spaces. I've been really lucky that the theatre that we have used over the last couple of years has given us the space for free. They staff it, they take collection boxes at the when people come in, so they raise money, and then that money goes to a charity of our choice for the festival that year. We also use sculpture, photography, anything that is created by the homeless communities. We sing, we dance, we shout. It's about creating an environment that everyone feels equal, right? You look at this group of people, you just think, it's a group of people singing. This is amazing, right? It's a choir. But every single one of them is still homeless or living in temporary accommodation, right? But look at them. They're all smiling. They're happy. They're having fun. That's what it's about. That's what art does. It enriches you, but it also enriches the people who are there enjoying the art with you. I put on there, agitate those eardrums. And I think that's a really important phrase, and I'll come on to that again later in the speech. So, but just remember to agitate those eardrums. We aim to change society's perceptions, and that's through different things, from going in and doing workshops within the homeless communities and the homeless centres, but also taking those workshops into office spaces, into the general public, the confines. And I think what that does, it gets people thinking about homelessness in a completely different way as well. We create opportunities. This is Jamal. I met Jamal when he was still rough sleeping. He was part of a street gang, getting into trouble really, really badly. And I had been told by a support worker that was working with him that he did these amazing line drawings, and his drawings are the ones on the left here, the two in the top that are framed. I got his pictures, I got his notebook, and I said, look, can I take it away? Can I frame some of your work, right? And he was really nervous about it. And I said, I want to put it into an exhibition. And what I did, I ended up putting it into 3 exhibitions for him as part of the One Festival. And I think this is in 2018. We also then got him to design one of the flyers for a special event we were putting on, where we invited different community businesses and community folks in. Even the leader of the opposition, the leader of our Labour Party, Keir Starmer, came to this event. During this event, we had the, I think it was a community or management team from Ted Baker in the room. And I said, look, chat with him. You like his design, have a chat with him. They spoke with him and stuff like this. And I said, what do you think of Jamal? He went, oh, he's so confident. He's so confident. He's an amazing artist and that. And I went, well, give him a job. And they went, well, we can't do that, right? But we'll give him some work experience, right? So he went there, he did 2 weeks work experience with Ted Baker in their design department. And at the end of the 2 weeks, they were so impressed with him, and they said, Jamal, we want you to come back for another week. But the problem is we can't unless we pay you. And the problem is, if we pay you, it means that we have to employ you. So we're going to offer you a job. And they offered him a job as part of the design team. And his first design work that he had to do was to design all the artwork for their Hong Kong flagship store. It's that simple. If you can create opportunities where they can meet and be introduced to people, it can implement some change. He's gone on, he's really successful in his job now, and I'm so proud of him. Like, I see him because he has to walk past my studios to go to Ted Baker offices, so I see him all the time, and he's smiling all the time. I'm so proud of him. We're also about strengthening our community, building the movement. This is the power of art. This young guy at the top here, and I don't know whether you can see, it's got late kid underscore. Check out his Instagram. He recently, after performing with, he performed in 2018 as well, on I think it was our closing event actually, and he literally had his new track played on BBC Radio 1 2 weeks ago. It's that simple. It's about connecting, giving that confidence, showing that they can do it. Really, really easy. We've grown. And we've grown quite a bit, and this is something that I am really surprised about, because I never expected this. Originally, the festival, when I first looked at it, it was only going to be a one-off show. Like I said, didn't have the money to do it. I just had this passion and enthusiasm to do something and to get people's artwork shown. You'll probably see, like, as I'm sharing, there's lots of photos on here. Every single photo on here is artwork that has been done, apart from a couple of the slide bits. But all these photos are artworks that have been created like by our different groups. So in the 5 years, over 450 artists have contributed, all with lived experience. Some are different group sessions and so on. We've had over 3,500 visitors to our London venue at the Diorama. If you know the space, and I think there's a photo coming up in a bit of the space where you'll be able to see, it is only a small venue. So to be able to get that amount of people over 5 years has just been immense. The space as well gets a lot of celebrities, movie stars and people like that come into the venue, and they get to see the work as well. And they come in and they're like, wow, this artwork's so colourful, it's beautiful. Who's it by? Homeless people. It's that simple. I've circled Jacob there. Without Jacob, the festival wouldn't exist. I can't thank this guy enough. He gave us this opportunity, and he gave us the space for free. And to do that, and he's done that for the 4 years or 5 years we've had it. We didn't have it last year because of COVID, but in that time we haven't paid a single penny to them, and it's just, yeah. The festival can't run without volunteers and the support workers of all the different venues. I probably haven't said this, but I am pretty much the festival. I curate the whole thing. I have a person, Andy Mann, who does our social media for us, and I have Claire, who helps with running of the main production side of it during the main run of the festival. But the rest of the time it's just me, and I can't do everything, so I have to rely on a lot of volunteers and support workers from all the different art groups, not just to get the work to me, but also with the safeguarding of everything. Because when people are being put into the limelight with their work, sometimes it can be quite intimidating and can cause problems. So I have to have that support network around, you know, for them and for me as well, to be able to function. So this is some of them. This is some of the organizations. Like I said, doing it on my own, I have to rely on different partners, and some of the partners here who have been amazing are, you know, people like the Museum of Homelessness, who have been massive supporters, who have run some of the events for me. Arts and Homelessness International, the Pillion Trust, who gave us a venue 1 year, Streets Kitchen, who came in and provided food 1 year. You know, the list goes on. The Choir with No Name, who were at our first 3 festivals, coming in singing. You know, it's a massive collective festival. I suppose in a way, probably the best way to put it is, I'm the caretaker. I wouldn't say curator, because I don't curate it. I'm the caretaker. 2 days before we hang the artworks arrives. I don't know what's coming until 2 days before the event, like to hang the event. When it all arrives, I then go pull my hair out, and if you know, I haven't got any, but I pull it all out and go, where am I going to stick all this, like, you know, but we managed to get it all in. The only things we curate are sort of like the main running of the music, etc., and stuff like that. I'm going to try and flick through some of these quite quickly because I know I'm short on time. These are some of the countries that we've had artwork from as well, from Japan, Brazil. We've had Path of Art. I know we're speaking part of the Arts and Agency yesterday. Pova down in Nashville, Tennessee. We've had stuff from Canada, Greece, Mali, to name a few. I don't know how it happened that people started contacting me from abroad saying, can we put artwork in? If they can get it to me, it can go in. And I'll get the artwork back to them. It's that simple. I won't say no. The only times I'll say no to artwork is if it's like will offend communities and different people, and if it's racist as well. I'm not putting that in. So we've also expanded. The first few years we were in London, and then we expanded in 2019 to 2 other cities. In Gloucester, we actually did an event in the cathedral there, underneath this massive moon, where it was recorded audio theatre piece representing homelessness. It was absolutely stunning. We literally just rocked up, put a circle out, and they started performing. It was just brilliant. Manchester, we partnered with the Folk Music Expo and Manchester Folk Festival, where I suppose we did, it was more like a leadership sort of thing where some musicians who were part of the festival could go and get training of how to make money within the music sector. We recorded a charity single, and that then raised money for the Big Issue North in the UK. And obviously we're still in London, and this is one of our amazing artists, John Priestley, who does these cardboard collages that I'm pointing at. And I'm pointing at it because he did one of me. It was quite embarrassing. But anyway, so like I said, we can't do this without partners and supporters. This has been one of our main supporters, Regent's Place, where the diorama is based. They're a management company who are part of British Land, and they have been superb. They've paid for producers, they've paid for food, they've paid for artists to be paid. They hired a theatre for us, you know, etc., etc. You know, I can't do this without like help. I want to go on to this bit as well, because I think this is the important thing as well. When looking at working with people who have been homeless, this is a framework which was created by people who were homeless as part of Arts and Homelessness International, and I can't remember the other group offhand who helped with it as well, but it was all co-produced. And it's, I suppose it's a practice guide of values of best, I hate the word best practice, but best practice of how to work within communities. So there are 10 aims here, and I'm going to quickly squiz through them. Co-production, nothing about us without us. You can't make a homeless festival if homeless voices aren't the ones creating it. If their voices aren't the ones being listened to, or you know, have any input, then why are you doing it? It has to be first and foremost the people who are making the art saying what they want, and I think that's really, really important. Clear aims and expectations. This is something like I sort of failed with at the beginning when I did the festival, because I only ever set out to do one event, and that was my aim. I was there, but because of, I guess, I could see the need when we were coming to the end, and knowing our first event, we had over 450 people come throughout our first event on our first night, and it was just immense. And I was just like, how can I carry this on? And yeah, so I had to change the expectations of how I could start rebuilding and looking at it in a completely different way. Creating a safe space. I like these guys. Like, this was a Streetwise opera workshop, which was a Streetwise Opera, if you don't know, are an opera company, which is all people who have been homeless, and they come in, they do workshops, they put on amazing, massive events, and create joy. But yeah, being able to create a safe space that everybody can feel like that they can be part of it. And that doesn't mean that everyone has to be running around like, you know, enjoying it, but even if they want to just sit and be in that space, because they feel that they can be in that space. And I think that's really important. Promoting positive perception. I will not put artwork into the festival if it's making homeless people look and feel negative. I won't do it. It's all about changing that perception, right? This was a collaboration with Accumulate and Levi's. Levi's wanted them to change the jackets, and yeah, this was done at Somerset House. It was amazing. Accessibility. This is probably one of my biggest things. Being disabled myself, I have to look at the accessibility of the whole festival. We have this venue, as you can see, all the big windows that everyone can see into. It has wheelchair access, it has lifts, it has free tea and coffee You don't pay to come to the festival. Not one single event we've done in the 5 years we've charged. Everything has been free. And the reason I do that is because I don't want... You see a lot of events happening around the world, right, where they'll put a theatre show on about homelessness and stuff like this, and they'll say, right, we've got some free tickets to give to people who are homeless. And I'm like, well, hang on a sec. I don't like that, because then suddenly those guys who are getting those free tickets feel not special. They feel like they're a charity case and they're being given something, like, you know, as if like, oh, we're giving you the opportunity to be part of this audience or of the event. No, sod that. I want it to be complete equity with everything. I want people to come in and feel like they can be in that space, even if they've got no money in their pocket. It doesn't matter. Come in and be in there. Celebrate different ways of working. It doesn't matter whether it's issue-based or non-issue based. I think it's really, really important. It's about showing positivity, right? And you can do that with issue-based and non-issue based. It's about seeing and being, and everyone's voice is in that space. Adapt and react. You know, it's pretty simple. There are some times that stuff happens that you have to sort of like try and, you know, work with. I'm flicking through these, so I'm really sorry. I'm coming to the end. Don't worry. Amplify voices and agitate ears, right? And this is what I was saying earlier, right? It's about, you know, showing that we, people who've been homeless or are still homeless, have a voice. We're not being given a voice. We have that voice already, right? And I want you to hear it. And I will give a space that everyone can come in and be heard. So during our opening events, we always have an open mic session where people can get up onto that mic and do what they want to do. It doesn't matter whether they want to do poetry, sing a song, or just scream, like, you know, or say something that's burning, like that they want to get out. You know, I think it's really important that they have that space and they're listened to and heard. Evaluate and document. We can't do anything if we don't evaluate it, and if we don't document it. How is anyone ever going to know that it existed? How would anyone know that we were here doing this? It's that simple. And the regularity and legacy. Legacy is really important for me, because I want people to understand that by being part of the festival, or just even promoting it, that you're helping change happen. You're helping people understand that there are artists out there, amazing artists out there, who just happen to be homeless. That's really important. And by having it, the regularity to it, having it every year, hopefully people will see it, be it, and understand it. And this is why. The Museum of Homelessness has been curating and documenting homeless deaths for the past few years, after a report by the Bureau of Investigative Journalists. Last year, 976 people died homeless in the UK. This was a memorial which was put into Trafalgar Square to honour each life lost on the streets. I was nearly one of these statistics back in 2013, and I was really lucky that someone saved my life. And obviously that doesn't happen for everyone. And I use art And I've used art to save my life, to change my life, to give me a better life. And I know that others can benefit from this. And I've seen it. I see it every year when we do the festival. You know, whether it's 1, 2 people, it doesn't matter. If someone can have a space to showcase something great about them, then surely that's why we do this. And hopefully it can stop another person dying on the streets. Like I said, art saved my life, and I know it can save so many other people's lives. And I want to finish with this. This is Charlie. Charlie's been street homeless in the UK for just over 20 years now. And he's been coming to our festival every year. And on our first year, we had a film by a woman director called Rebecca Kenyon. And we put on an event and we showed the film. And it was amazing. And it was like, I'm trying to think of the area. It was a film made in America, talking about a certain area, and I can't remember offhand where it was, but it was in North Carolina, and talking about the homeless problem there, and they followed like certain families. And at the end of it, we had a talk with the director, and some woman got up and started having a go at the director, saying, "Why are you spending money making a film when you should be housing homeless people?" And Charlie stood up. And before the director even had chance to reply, Charlie stood up and he said, "Because without people like this, I would never be seen." And I think that's a really, really good point, because we only ever hear about homelessness when we either read about someone dying on the streets or when something has gone wrong on the streets. We don't hear about people. We don't hear about their stories. Charlie's an amazing poet. Amazing poet. He's just on the streets. It shouldn't be like that. And the thing, you're probably looking at the bottom there, I still haven't had funding for the festival. I don't know how to apply for funding. It's something I've never done. I'm scared of it, because I was always led to believe that I had to get myself out of any situation that I had. Like, it was part of being a soldier. I got myself in a situation, I get myself out. And I suppose I do the same with with the arts festival. You know, I use my connections, I use the people that I know, and I work with the different organizations and say, "Do you want to be involved?" Like I said, I can't survive without donations and partners. We're still going, 5 years. And I'm going to throw out 20 questions. And if anyone wants to follow us, there's some of our Twitter and Instagram stuff. I'm rubbish with social media. That's why I've got a person doing it. But yeah, if there's any questions, I probably missed loads out. I was trying to fly through these slides as much as possible. But yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and take some questions if we've got any.
Listen, first, David, thank you for, that story. Amazing from every level. It's hard to distinguish your amazing personal story from the amazing work that you're doing and the stories that are coming out of that. So, really thank you for sharing that with us. It's so easy to forget about those who are marginalized and that you don't hear. And I thought the gentleman's quote that if not for that director, that no one would even know that he existed. And so just what a great poignant point. We have a question from Facebook, and they want you to, can you speak more about negative perceptions? What are some examples? Will one festival be happening this year? And I'm going to answer yes for you there. How do people submit their work? So yeah, there's a myriad of questions there. If you speak more about the negative perceptions, and then how would people submit their work?
Yeah, so negative perceptions, right? So automatically, if you say homelessness to somebody, right, or you ask somebody to describe homelessness, they automatically talk about that person sat on the street begging. That is the first image that comes into someone's head, right? And they then associate criminal, addict, alcoholic, scum, vagrant. You know, there's it's always a negative term which is associated with homelessness. It's never a positive, right? You know, it's never like, oh, look at that amazing homeless person. It's not. It's always like, oh. You also find that people want to cross the road instead of acknowledging somebody who's on the street. So you sort of, your brain dehumanizes them, you know, because you're scared. You have this fear of the homeless people straight away. That fear of like, oh my God, if I talk to them, they're gonna attack me. They're gonna they want my money. They want, do you know what I mean? It's always that, but it's not. You know, if Gavin hadn't stopped for me and spoken to me, I would be dead now. It's that simple, right? I was killing myself. It was 20 seconds away from being dead. And he took that opportunity to go, what are you doing? Like, you know, and not having that fear. I think it's really important sort of thing. There is so much negative comments when talking about homelessness. You know, we know that a large majority of people have mental health problems, right? We know there's a huge stigma around mental health. There's always this like, you know, you're seen as inferior or useless, or do you know what I mean? I could go on all day talking about negative things. How many people have positive things to say about homelessness? And that's what I want to be doing. You know, I want to change that perception. I want to change that narrative. I want to change how we view people as human beings, because that's what that person in that situation is. They're a human being who just happens to be at one of their lowest points, and nobody's helping. Instead, what are they doing? Walking past or spitting at them, beating them. You know, it's just some of the stories that I hear of like people being urinated on just while they're trying to sleep because people think it's fun and it's a laugh. Stuff like that shouldn't be happening. These are human beings who are in need of help, you know. But don't get me wrong, you know, we could put as much help out there as possible, right? We could say, right, you know, there's this. Unless that person makes a choice to engage with it, then they're always going to be there. But it's got to be their choice to take that. So yeah, to answer the question with the festival, yes, it will be going ahead this year, hopefully, COVID allowing. I'm in discussions at the moment with trying to secure the venue at the moment, because they've just changed all management team because of COVID. So there is that side of things. But I also am trying to see whether I can do some sort of online presence this year with the festival. Obviously, I work as well, so I have a job, a normal job that I do. I actually work for Arts and Homelessness International now. I started working with them last year. 2019. I got asked to work with them to help with their engagement around the world. So I'm doing that now. So, and then I also have my art practice myself. So it will happen. It's just trying to find the time to get stuff produced and stuff like that. So yeah.
They're also wondering, so another question was, how do people submit their work? Yeah,
so they can either email me, they can contact us via our Twitter account, send us direct messages there. We do have an email address, and I can't remember what it is now, which, hang on a sec, 2 seconds. It's hang on a sec, I'm gonna have to put glasses on to read this. The email is onefestivalha@gmail.com. @gmail.com. I will put that in the chat here as well, and they can contact me. And like I said, you know, it would be lovely to have more artwork from abroad. I can't pay for postage, I'm afraid, but I can post it back to you afterwards and pay for it, but I can't pay to get it to me. But if it's digital work, if it's films and stuff like that, you know, we have screens playing the whole time throughout the festival, which we take digital art on, from animations. We've had, you know, yeah, contact me and I can do that either that way as well.
All right, David. I've got a question. So what was the hardest part of pulling this all together?
Oh,
You must be exhausted every year.
yeah, I am. The hardest part was getting people to believe that I could do it in the first place, because not many homeless people who've been homeless go out, get listened to, and I think that was the hardest thing, was getting people to just listen to me, even if it was just for 5 minutes originally. So I think it had to be done through people seeing that my art practice and how I was building that up, that I could also build a festival as well. Jacob was amazing at the diorama, and giving us space there, and also giving me an ear to bend to sort of like say, am I doing this? Am I doing this? Because I'd never done a festival before. Don't get me wrong. I'd never produced a show before. I'd only ever done my own art practice. So I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And over the years, it's just organically grown. Another hard thing I've had to deal with is trolls. In 2019, I'd already, before COVID happened, I had already decided to cancel 2019 show because I was getting trolled a lot by people. And at the time, I was having a bit of a blip with my mental health, and I was suffering a lot with my mental health. And it got to me so badly that I was like, I can't do this when I'm getting people really ripping into me for helping homeless people. They were like, why should homeless people have this? Why? Do you know what I mean? And it was so negative, and it really ground me down, because it was going on for months, and it got to the stage that they were even phoning my home phone number. I don't know how they got it, and they were phoning it, and people just having a go at me on the phone. I'm like, what is wrong with people? Why shouldn't I help my community? Do you know what I mean? So that's been really difficult. Also the money side of it. If I had more money, I would have a full production team on it, where it could take some of the pressure off and stuff like that. But because I have the brain damage from my stroke, and in the UK, funding is so inaccessible for people with disabilities to fill out forms and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's been difficult. And I suppose it's still just a project for me. I suppose a bit of a passion project in a way, but yeah.
So with that said, having forced you to look at the hard part and some of the negativity, tell us what's really rewarding for you and what really uplifts you by doing this project.
That's a really good question. People like Charlie, knowing that there's a space that people who wouldn't normally get listened to can come and just share their work, and be seen as artists and not seen as homeless people. I think that is the most rewarding thing. We have, so where it's based, it's in North London, a place called Warren Street. It's a very business district, like, you know, skyscrapers and stuff like this. And it's fundamentally a lot of bankers and stuff like that. And having people like that coming in and seeing the work and going, wow, okay, this is amazing. having people like, we had Jeremy Irons, like the actor, come in and look at it, and I was like, what? That's Jeremy Irons, man. Like, do you know what I mean? And things like this. Also, when we did the event in Manchester, and we didn't have many people come to our concert, I think we had like 21 people in the audience. I was really disappointed. But in that audience, and I found this out 3 months after the event, there was a guy sat on the front row, this black dude, tall, skinny guy. And he was like, he was loving it, right? And then I met him in a pub randomly. I was at a Christmas party, and he went, I was at your event in Manchester. And I went, oh, what, my art practice? I thought he was talking about that. And he goes, no, he goes, the homeless concert you put on. And I went, oh, brilliant. And then we were talking, and it turned out he was Stevie Wonder's manager. Can you believe it? Stevie Wonder's manager was at our event. And then telling that to the musicians after, when I found out, they were like, what? Do you know what I mean? It's little things like that. We also had a woman who lives in South London. He said she hadn't come to North London in over 20 years, but she made the special trip there because her painting was on the wall. Little things like that. I also think I'm really proud of it. I think, like, you know, to still be doing it with all the pressures and everything that I've been through, it's been, yeah, I'm really proud as well to just still be doing it. Yeah,
absolutely. So a comment from Facebook from David, just thank you for sharing your information, your inspiration, and it's very, very important work. Wanted to make sure that got in. Someone wants you to talk a bit about working with homeless youth and how they get involved and how to get them some exposure.
It's really difficult because obviously a lot of the homeless youth, we work with an organization, I'm just trying to think of the name, it's gone completely out of my head, New Horizons, which are literally just around the corner from my studios, which work with people from the age of 16 to 25, I think it is. And a lot of the time, that area or that age group, especially within the homeless groups, aren't really represented well. I know Accumulate, who are on the call today, I've seen her put, Maurice put a thing in, does a lot of work with that age group as well. I think it's about giving a space where they're in control. So if they come to me, like I showed the picture of me working in the hostel with them, it's just saying, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And allowing them to be in charge. So, you know, we had them making totem poles, actually, totem poles of their stories, which was fascinating because some of the guys had traveled from Africa and come through the migrant routes and stuff like this. And they made these totem poles of their stories, and we put those into the festival. They were absolutely beautiful. I think it's about, when working with people, right, you're not working for them, right? You're working with them. And I think if you're letting their voices be the main voice in the room, then you can't go wrong. And it's just about having that space. Like, you know, if they want to make a hip hop song, try and get a studio for them to go and record it. You know, if they're like writing stuff, instead of it going, yeah, write it, and then it just gets put to the side. No, you've got to carry it through. You know, you've got to give them the space to then go, right, okay, let's record it, let's release it. Let's just put it out there. Let's get a pirate station to put it out there, whatever. Like, you know, I know there are radio stations out there, like homeless radio stations, podcasts, etc. So, you know, it's about giving that choice for people to do stuff.
Excellent. I'm sitting here imagining what your year must be like, right? That people are coming up and auditioning for you on the street. Like, David, I can sing. David, I can paint. Here, read my. So is that is that how you find the artists? Do they find you, or is there an open audition, or how do you find them?
It's a really good question, actually. It's a bit of both, actually. Obviously, with Andy doing our Twitter feed, we get contacted quite a lot from different people writing theatre productions and stuff like this. So we do hear about a lot. And then because I am had my ears to the ground quite a lot within the homeless community, I'm a little bit withdrawn from it at the moment because of COVID. So I'm not like as hands-on. But some of the hostels that I go and do workshops in, you know, I hear different like people saying, "Oh, you need to check out such and such over in blah blah blah," and all this, and I go, "Okay," and I'll go and sort and try and find these people. I also do a lot of mapping to try and find out what's happening in local areas. Obviously, London is my main area, but you know, we've had people from Sheffield, Manchester, you know, etc. I do get contacted quite a lot on. Our Instagram isn't great for the One Festival because I always forget to post stuff on there. I'd love to get somebody to run the Instagram because I'm not very good at social media. But we do get contacted through there, plus emails, and you know, it's plus also like, you know, sometimes like you will see somebody post something. I'm not on Facebook myself, but I hear about it and I go, oh, okay, let me try and find this place. There was a young guy called Rhymestein, who's a spoken word poet, and I don't know how I saw it. I saw this clip of a spoken word thing he'd written called Only Human or something like that, and it was just mind-blowing, this piece of spoken word. I was like, I need to get hold of him. It took me 2 years of tracking him down, but I found him, and then I love his work so much that I've ended up working with him in my own art practice as well. So he's been in my Man on Bench shows in Manchester and Gloucester, and where else was he? London as well. So it's about, you know, having, you know, when I put a show on, it's not just about me. I try and work with as many people as possible as well.
Nice. So one of our questions on Facebook was, what would you want to say to funders, grant makers, so that they can better understand how to get more involved and how to make some of these resources and support, you know, more available, or how they can come out, or what they should be thinking about, you know, when they see it versus, you know, I guess what some may consider negative. What would you say to those people, I guess?
Yeah, so this is something that's really, really difficult when trying to get funding for homeless arts, right? Because people don't see, you know, there's always targets, isn't there, with funders? It's got to be like this outcome and stuff like that. Where arts is a different type of outcome, right? It's about what it does here. It's not about putting somebody in a house and stuff like that, right? So to measure the outcomes is a little bit more difficult, right? So I think that's where I think funders need to be a little bit more saying, look, we're going to fund you as a project, right? We don't care about the outcome. We don't care what happens. We want to fund the project that it happens. But they won't do it. Some are starting to do it, but most won't. I think also the accessibility of funders really needs to be sort of like opened up a bit more. You know, instead of it just being, you know, write 2,000 words or 6,000 words, like, you know, to be able to, you know, because to be honest, most people apply for funding bullshit on their funding forms. Like they know how to manipulate how to write the stuff to then get the money. And for me, that defeats the whole object. I'm passionate about the project, right? I just don't know how to write it in that passion. So I'd rather people say, send me an audio, send me a video of why we should invest in your festival. And then instead of it being a 6,000 word, let it be a 2-3 minute thing saying, look, this is what we're doing. If you believe in what we're doing as an organization and you believe we're doing the right thing for the people that we're working with, then invest in them, help us. It's that simple. Regent's Place, the reason that they came on board was because where we were in the diorama and we were getting that for free, that was brilliant. But I wanted to do a dance thing outside in the main, there's like a piazza. And I wanted like these homeless dancers to do this dance thing, right? Right outside Facebook's head office in London. And I was like, I went, right, who do I need to sleep with to like get that space? And this girl was like, well, she goes, you're not going to sleep with me, but I can help you get this space. And she was from Regent's Place, right? Well, she was actually from British Land. And she said, right, what we need to do is this. So they gave us that outside space, and they loved what we were doing and what we were about, because we weren't selling anything. We weren't saying, buy this, buy this. We were just saying, look, come and see us, come and see this. And so they were like, we want to help you from now on. What can we do? What do you need? And I was like, I need somebody to help. I need like a bit of like, production and blah, blah, blah. They're like, right, we're going to do that. We're going to put all the food on for the whole event. Right. So the whole run of the festival, they put the food on. They pay for it. They get outside caterers coming in, doing all stuff like that. They then say, right, we're going to pay all the theatre teams and all. That'd been amazing. So yeah, stuff like that is amazing.
All right. Well, listen, I cannot even begin to tell you how blessed I feel to have spent this time with you today and listening, and even listening to people get engaged. Just an incredible story, an incredible work that you're doing. And you are definitely hand chosen by God so that you might contribute on this planet, David. It's phenomenal. And so you should be very proud of yourself. And, we're lucky to have had you here today. Great session. I can also identify with, this idea of trying to get people to want to help people. I think you're right when you say it shouldn't be that difficult. It should just say, I agree with you. Help if you want to. And I think that works out.
Do you know what, Daryl? I totally agree with you, right, on that part. I don't know about the God part, whether I chose, and possibly I was definitely saved. And I always think there's a reason that happened, because, like I said, it was 20 seconds. I call it a 20-second intervention. If Gavin wasn't there, then I wouldn't be here. And what he took that chance on me means that I can take chances on people to be part of the festival, right?
Yes.
And it can really be that simple, right? Of a festival doesn't have to be like this big thing that you expect it to be or you imagine. It can just be a group, a community coming together and putting their passions into, like, I'm passionate about performance art, right? So I'll put that into it. We've got people putting theatre in, we've got people putting sculpture in, and it doesn't have to cost anything. It's just about us putting our art into a space. And if you can get a venue or get anyone involved, and the community then get to see that, because the thing is, what communities never see, right? And this is why there's so much stigma around homelessness, right? Because they always think that homeless people are taking all the time. But I don't see that. I see what we're giving. I see that we're giving back so much joy to people. Every person who walks past that venue when the festival's running, it runs for a whole month, right? Well, the first festival ran for 2 months, 2 whole months long, right? They get to see that artwork every single day, and that brings them joy. Come on. It's that simple. Really is that simple.
Yeah. Appreciate you again so much. I think someone from the arts and culture is going to jump in here and take over, or
I could talk all day.
Yep, there he is. There's our guy. There's our guy.
I want to thank you both for being a part of the first annual Arts and Agency Week. David, thank you for sharing your story with us and your insights with us. And I'm certain that there are things that we can take from what we learned today and implement and plant as seeds here in Erie. Darren will certainly be looking to you as a partner for that with your work at the city mission. And I'm really going to reflect on one thing that you said. I mean, a lot of things that you said, but specifically the line, nothing about us without us. I think that's how we make sure that we are not implementing what feels like the privileged gaze or the white gaze, and make sure that the work is about is about change and about elevating those stories. So thank you so much, David. I want to thank everybody that joined us as an attendee today, either through Zoom or streamed on Facebook. If you can look in the chat function, there is a link to participate in a brief survey. And we have 2 sessions that remain as part of Arts and Agency Week. Today at 3 p.m., we will have the City of Asylum, and then followed by Blights Out at 6 p.m. if you would like to register and attend those 2 sessions. Daryl, David, thank you. Attendees, thank you. And you all have a great day.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite, and hopefully people have got something from today.
I'm certain that they did. Thank you, David.